All right, get ready to dive deep because today we're taking a deep dive into the Delta blues,
Ooh, yeah, love the Delta blues.
a genre that's so much more than just music.
It really is.
It's like a window right into a piece of American history.
Absolutely.
We've got articles, historical accounts, even some musicology papers,
Wow.
all ready to go to paint us a full picture of this music and where it came from.
I love it. I love it. It's going to be a fascinating picture.
So we're going to go way beyond just the notes and the chords.
Yeah.
We're going to explore, really explore how the social and economic conditions in the Mississippi Delta in the early 20th century really shaped this genre that's been so influential.
And you know what? It all comes down to the people.
The people.
It's those people and their stories that make it so powerful.
So we're talking sharecropping, the Great Migration, just raw emotion
Raw emotion, that's the key.
of a community finding its voice.
It really is.
And even, and this is pretty cool, we're going to trace how those sounds rippled outwards
Yeah.
and influenced genres you might not expect, like hip-hop.
It's incredible, isn't it? The reach of the Delta blues, from the fields of Mississippi to the streets of, well, everywhere.
Everywhere, exactly.
That plumbing.
It all starts with those early blues musicians, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And that Mississippi Delta,
Yeah.
those sounds, those experiences, still, they're echoing in the music we hear today.
No doubt about it.
So let's set the stage here, okay?
Okay.
Imagine the Mississippi Delta,
Right.
fertile land, just
Yeah.
along the Mississippi River, perfect for agriculture, you would think.
Seems idyllic, right?
You would think.
Yeah.
But underneath that, there's this harsh reality,
Yeah.
particularly for the African Americans who are living there.
Right.
And they're caught in this system called sharecropping.
It was a brutal system, really. Kept so many black families trapped
That
in this cycle of debt,
they couldn't get out.
It was hard to see a way out,
So they're working tirelessly on land that they don't even own,
It's heartbreaking.
facing discrimination,
Of course.
limited opportunities.
Everywhere they turned, it seemed like.
And it's out of this struggle that the Delta blues emerges.
The blues was their voice, a way to sing about their pain, their hopes, their dreams.
So it wasn't just music for entertainment.
No, it was much deeper than that.
This was a form of expression
Yes.
to channel the pain, the hardship of their lives.
It was a way to survive, to find some light in the darkness.
That raw emotion, that authenticity, it's what gives Delta blues its power, right?
Absolutely. It's that rawness that cuts right through you.
And speaking of intensity, I've been reading about these guys.
Oh, yeah.
Charlie Patton, Son House, and of course Robert Johnson.
Legendary, every one of them.
These weren't just talented musicians, they were almost mythical figures.
That's right. They were larger than life.
Take Robert Johnson, for instance.
Oh, Robert Johnson.
He's almost synonymous with that mystique.
Oh, yeah. The mystique of the Delta blues, the crossroads, selling his soul to the devil.
That's the legend.
It's a great story, isn't it?
But myths aside,
Right.
what made his music so groundbreaking?
Well, he took Delta blues and just pushed the boundaries. His guitar work was so complex and those melodies so haunting. And he often used open tunings on his guitar.
Open tunings, remind me what those are.
So that's where you tune the strings to a specific chord.
Oh, okay.
And that lets you create these really unique sounds just by sliding your fingers up and down the neck.
Interesting.
And Johnson, he was a master of this technique.
Yeah.
He created these haunting, almost vocal-like melodies with his guitar. It was like his music really did come from somewhere else.
That's so cool how a simple adjustment to the instrument could have such a profound effect on the sound.
It's amazing.
And it wasn't just talent, it wasn't just technique that propelled the Delta blues into the mainstream. The 1920s saw a technological shift that played a huge role, right?
A huge role. Yeah, the phonograph.
The phonograph, that was a game changer.
For the first time, you have these bluesmen.
Yeah.
And they can record their music, and it can reach audiences beyond the juke joints and the street corners.
It's not just limited to the Mississippi Delta anymore.
Exactly. Their voices could travel,
Wow.
carrying their stories and emotions with them.
So we have this potent mix
Yeah.
of raw talent,
Mm-hmm.
deeply personal stories, and this new technology allowing the music to spread.
It's the perfect recipe.
All the ingredients are there
Yep.
for this cultural phenomenon.
And don't forget about the Great Migration.
Oh, right.
That's when millions of African Americans left the South.
Wow.
And they took their music and their culture, the sounds of the Delta blues, with them.
That must have been huge, not just for the musicians themselves,
Oh, it was massive.
but for the evolution of the music itself.
Absolutely. It changed everything.
You think about them migrating to Chicago, Memphis, New York, bring in the Delta blues with them.
And those cities were already buzzing with music, So the Delta blues, it started to mix with the sounds of the city.
Oh, wow.
And it reflected the new experiences of city life.
So it wasn't just a geographical move.
No, it was way more than that.
It evolved.
It evolved, exactly.
As it encountered these new influences, it wasn't static. It was like a living, breathing thing.
That's a great way to put it. It was alive and constantly changing.
And that evolution
Yeah.
is a big part of why the Delta blues had such a lasting impact on American music and beyond.
It's a story that's still unfolding, really.
It's a powerful story. So we were just talking about the Great Migration and how it really spread those blues sounds beyond the Mississippi Delta.
Yes, spread them far and wide.
But before we go too far into how those sounds evolved in all those new cities, I'm curious about what shaped the music in the first place.
Okay, yeah.
Like, what were the influences, the musical influences that created that sound, that Delta blues sound?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It's really like a musical gumbo, So many ingredients all coming together.
To create something unique.
Totally unique, yeah.
So, I mean, we can't talk about the blues without talking about the influence of African musical traditions, right?
Oh, absolutely not. You can't separate the two.
I mean, it makes sense, given the history and heritage of the musicians.
For sure.
So what are some specific examples
of
those African influences that we hear in the Delta blues?
Well, one of the biggest ones is the call and response.
Oh yeah, call and response.
Where the lead singer, they sing a line and then
the others respond.
Exactly.
And it creates this
back and forth.
This dynamic back and forth.
It's like a conversation, right?
Yeah.
You find it in a lot of African musical traditions, and it's like a signature element of the Delta blues.
So it's a musical conversation?
It is.
With all these different voices kind of
adding to the story.
Adding to the story, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then I think about the rhythms in the Delta blues.
Yeah.
And it's very rhythmically complex.
Oh, for sure.
There's these polyrhythms.
Oh, yeah. You got multiple rhythms happening at the same time.
At the same time.
You might have like a steady beat on the drums. Right. And then on top of that, you've got this syncopated guitar riff.
Yeah, it's like layered.
It creates this layered hypnotic effect.
It's almost hypnotic.
It really is.
Yeah, so those African rhythms, they really found their way into the DNA of the blues.
Absolutely.
So what other influences do you think contributed to this musical mix?
Work song. You got to think about work song.
Work song.
Yeah, like think about the people working in the cotton fields, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's grueling labor, the hot sun.
It's tough work.
It is.
Yeah.
And those experiences, they found their way into the music.
Oh, interesting.
The themes, the lyrics, the structure.
Because the music itself.
Yeah.
It's reflecting the hardships of their daily life.
It's like a soundtrack to their struggles, right?
It's a soundtrack, yeah.
And those work songs, they often had these repetitive lyrics, simple melodies that were easy to remember.
So you can sing along even when you're working.
Exactly.
You don't have to think too hard about it.
Exactly. You can hear that same directness, that repetition.
In Delta blues music.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like the music itself was a form of resilience.
Yeah, I like that.
To find strength and unity.
It's powerful.
Even when you're in those difficult conditions.
Absolutely. It's like finding hope in the midst of hardship.
And then you can't forget about spirituals, right?
Oh, the spirituals, yes.
These deeply emotional religious songs. I mean, they come out of the African-American experience.
Right.
And they also play a big role in shaping the Delta blues sound.
Oh, they do. You hear those spiritual influences in the themes, right?
Like the themes of
hope and despair, the longing for something better, the use of biblical imagery. It's all there.
So you have these different threads, right? Mm-hmm. African rhythms, work song themes, and the emotional intensity of the spirituals.
Yeah.
And it all comes together to create the foundation of the Delta blues.
It's a powerful mix, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And then to top it all off, you've got the influence of country blues.
Oh, yeah.
Which was already established as a genre,
Right.
So country blues, it contributed elements like the guitar, the focus on personal storytelling.
Yeah.
And those simple but effective song structures.
Right.
And even early jazz had a touch of influence,
Oh, interesting.
It added a bit of swing and improvisation to the mix.
It's fascinating.
It is.
How all of these ingredients, these musical ingredients, came together to create something so
unique and powerful.
Unique and powerful. Yeah, it's like a tapestry, right?
Yeah, it is.
A musical tapestry where each thread adds its own texture and color.
That's a beautiful way to put it, a musical tapestry.
So out of this rich musical stew, we've got some pretty amazing musicians who emerge.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we've already talked about Charlie Patton, Son House, Robert Johnson.
The big three, yeah.
But there were so many others, right?
Absolutely.
Who helped shape and define the Delta blues sound.
So many unsung heroes.
Yeah. I mean, those are the names that are synonymous with Delta blues.
For sure.
But I'm curious to know about some of those other folks.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Who maybe aren't as well known.
All right, well, one name that comes to mind is Tommy Johnson.
Tommy Johnson, okay.
Yeah, he was a master storyteller, you know.
Yeah.
He would weave these intricate narratives into his songs.
Oh, wow. You know, drawing on folklore and personal experiences. And his voice, like, what was his voice like?
Oh, his vocal style. It was incredibly unique. You know, he blended elements of ragtime and country blues into this Delta blues sound. It was really something special.
I read somewhere that there was an almost mystical quality to his music.
Yeah, there was a haunting quality, for sure.
Almost like he was channeling something.
Something beyond the everyday.
Yeah.
And some say it stemmed from his belief in hoodoo, you know?
Hoodoo?
It's a form of African-American folk magic.
Oh.
And his song Canned Heat Blues.
Canned Heat Blues.
It became an anthem, you know, for those struggling with poverty and addiction during the Depression.
Oh, wow.
It was a powerful song. You know, it really captured the raw emotions of the time.
Yeah. And it still resonates today.
It does, absolutely.
So who else should we know about?
Well, another influential figure, though maybe not as well known as some of the others, was Mississippi Fred McDowell.
Mississippi Fred McDowell.
Yeah, he was a master of the slide guitar.
Slide guitar.
You know, use that bottleneck technique.
Remind me what that is.
So that's where you slide a glass or metal tube over your finger.
Okay.
And you create these smooth gliding notes.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And McDowell's playing, it was just so soulful and expressive, you know.
Wow.
He could make that guitar weep and moan.
Really?
Yeah, it was like he was conveying a depth of emotion that words just couldn't capture.
And he's had a pretty big influence, right?
Oh, huge, especially on slide guitarists in blues and rock.
Yeah.
Even today, you can hear its influence.
That's amazing how a simple technique,
yeah,
like that could shape the sound of a whole genre.
It's incredible, isn't it?
And then influence generations of musicians.
Absolutely.
It really is.
And that's the beauty of the Delta blues, you know?
Yeah.
It's a music of innovation and resilience and raw emotion. And it connects with people, you know?
On a deep level.
On a deep, visceral level, yeah.
So we've explored those origins, right?
Yeah.
We talked about some of the influences and some of the key players.
Some of the big names, yeah.
Who shaped the Delta blues. But it didn't just stay in the Mississippi Delta, did it?
No, it didn't.
We talked about the Great Migration earlier, and I'm just curious how that movement of people,
so many people,
influenced how the music evolved.
That's a big question.
Yeah.
Because the Delta blues, it didn't stay put. It traveled with the people, right?
Right.
It transformed and adapted as it encountered these new environments and new musical influences. And those changes are a big part of why American music is what it is today.
So what happened when those musicians, those Delta blues musicians, got to those cities?
They brought their music with them?
Like, how did their music interact with the city?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
So imagine, you know, these musicians arriving in Chicago, right?
Chicago.
This bustling city full of energy and industry.
Yeah.
And a thriving blues scene of its own already, right?
It's got its own thing going on.
It does.
Yeah.
And the Delta blues that they brought with them, it starts to mix with the faster tempos of the city.
Yeah.
The amplified sounds of electric instruments.
Oh, wow.
And that gives rise to a new style.
What do they call that?
Chicago blues.
Chicago blues. Okay.
Yeah, it was like this hybrid.
A fusion, yeah.
A fusion of those raw acoustic sounds of the Delta with the electric energy of the city.
It's taking the old and mixing it with the new.
Exactly. It's a beautiful blend.
And it wasn't just Chicago, right?
No, it wasn't. As the Delta blues spread to other cities, it kept evolving. It kept spawning new subgenres. Like Memphis blues, known for its rhythmic drive and those horn sections.
Yeah.
And Texas blues.
Texas blues.
Yeah, characterized by those swaggering guitar riffs and sophisticated storytelling.
So it's like the Delta blues was a seed.
It was.
That was planted in all this new soil.
And it blossoms.
And all these different branches of this blues family tree started to sprout up.
That's a great way to put it. It's like a family tree.
And those branches, they continue to grow.
They do.
And they intertwine, they influence
Countless musicians. Yeah.
across so many different genres.
All kinds of music.
We've talked about rock and roll, but the Delta blues, it left its mark on jazz, soul, R&B.
Even hip hop.
Even hip hop.
It's everywhere.
It's amazing to think
how mind-blowing.
A genre
Yeah.
born out of, hardship in the rural South could have such a widespread and lasting impact
A global impact.
on music worldwide.
It's a testament to its power.
It's a powerful, powerful thing.
It is. And you know what's fascinating?
What's that?
Even as the Delta blues influenced all these other genres, it never lost its own unique power.
It still got that.
It's got that rawness, that authenticity, that ability to express those deep human emotions.
It just connects with you.
It does.
Why do you think that is?
That's a good question.
Why does this music that was born at such a specific time and place
And out of such hardship.
still speak to people across cultures and across generations?
I think it's because the Delta blues at its heart is about something universal. It's about facing hardship, finding strength, and expressing those emotions in a raw and honest way.
It doesn't hold back.
It doesn't. It's music that speaks to the resilience of the human spirit.
I love that. The resilient.
We all go through tough times.
We do.
We all experience joy and sorrow, love and loss.
It's all part of the human experience.
It is. And the blues, it acknowledges that. It embraces it.
And in a world that feels increasingly complex.
Chaotic.
Yeah.
Right.
There's something really powerful
There is.
about that simplicity, about that directness of emotion.
It's a breath of fresh air almost.
It cuts through the noise, right?
It does. It cuts right through.
And it reminds us of what really matters.
Exactly. It reminds us of our shared humanity.
So we're coming up on the end of our deep dive
Yeah.
into the Delta blues.
It's been a journey.
And we'll continue that journey
You will.
in our next part.
Can't wait.
So we've been on this journey, right? Tracing those Delta blues sounds from their roots in Mississippi
Yeah, all the way
to how they spread across America during the Great Migration.
all those cities.
It's really amazing how the music
It's remarkable.
evolved and adapted,
Yeah.
encountering all these new influences and sparking these
These offshoots, these
Chicago blues, Texas blues.
new branches.
But it didn't stop there, right?
No, it didn't stop.
I feel like the Delta blues just kept going,
Kept going and going.
weaving its way into modern music,
It's everywhere if you know how to listen for it.
leaving its mark on genres way beyond
Oh, absolutely.
just the blues.
Far beyond.
We talked a little about its influence on rock and roll, but it feels like it goes even deeper than that.
Oh, much deeper.
So what are some specific examples?
Well, let's stick with rock and roll for a second.
Okay.
Think about Elvis.
Elvis.
That raw energy in his vocals.
Yeah.
Think about Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry, yeah.
Those driving rhythms on the guitar.
Uh-huh.
Or Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, yeah.
The way he can make that guitar just scream with emotion.
It's like, I never really thought about it that way before.
Really?
But now that you say it, I can totally hear those Delta blues echoes.
They're there for sure.
Yeah, they're there.
And it's not just about those iconic figures, Think about the slide guitar.
Slide guitar.
A technique that those early Delta bluesmen,
Yeah.
like Mississippi Fred McDowell,
Yeah.
really pioneered.
Uh-huh.
And it became a staple.
Oh, yeah. In rock music. Absolutely. I mean, think about Duane Allman's solos.
Oh, yeah.
With the Allman Brothers.
Allman Brothers, yeah.
Or Derek Trucks, that virtuosic slide work.
Yeah.
It's a direct line.
Straight back to the Delta.
Back to those roots.
It's wild to think that those early bluesmen
They really...
created this language.
A musical language.
That's still being spoken.
It's spoken and reinterpreted.
And all these musicians.
Across generations.
Yeah, across generations.
And it's not just rock.
Yeah, what else?
The Delta blues also had a profound impact on jazz.
Jazz, okay.
Musicians like B.B. King, Albert King.
Oh, yeah, some of the greats.
They took those bluesy melodies, those soulful bends, those slides, and they incorporated them.
Their jazz,
Yeah, into their improvisations.
So it wasn't like they were just copying the sound, right?
No, not at all. It was deeper than that.
It was like taking those core elements,
The essence.
that feeling, that emotion,
and filtering it through a different lens.
different musical lens, yeah.
And even in hip hop,
Yeah.
which you think of as worlds away from the Delta blues,
Worlds away.
you can still hear those influences.
Oh, you can definitely hear them.
Like artists like The Roots, Outkast.
Yeah, they've sampled.
They've taken those Delta blues recordings.
Yeah, and incorporated those rhythms and grooves.
It's crazy to think about how this genre that was born out of such specific circumstances,
Oh.
the hardship and the resilience of those Black communities in the rural South, that it could have such a
Widespread and lasting
impact on music.
worldwide.
Yeah, worldwide.
And it's remarkable because
Yeah.
even as the Delta blues influenced all these other genres, it never lost its own
magic.
its own unique power, that rawness, that authenticity.
Yeah, that ability to express those emotions, that still resonates
It still resonates, yeah.
with listeners today. But why do you think that is?
I think it's because at its core,
Yeah.
the Delta blues, it's about something that we all,
Something universal.
universal. It's about facing hardship, finding strength, expressing those emotions in a raw and honest way.
Yeah, it doesn't sugarcoat anything.
It doesn't.
It's just real.
Yeah.
And it's music that speaks to the resilience of the human spirit.
So it's about those shared experiences,
Absolutely.
those feelings of joy and sorrow and
Love and loss.
and all the things that we all go through.
We all go through it.
As humans.
It's part of being human.
And in a world that feels so complex and chaotic.
More and more every day.
Yeah.
It seems like.
There's something powerful about that.
That simplicity, that directness.
It's almost like a refuge,
It is. It's like a safe space to just feel those
And
emotions.
it cuts through all that.
Cuts through the noise.
Yeah, it cuts through the noise and it reminds us of what matters.
It really matters.
Yeah.
So if someone is listening to this deep dive
Yeah,
and they're feeling inspired,
I hope so.
they want to go explore the world of Delta blues.
Where should they start?
Where should they start?
Well, I always recommend
Yeah.
going back to the source,
The source.
listening to those pioneers, Charlie Patton,
Charlie Patton, yeah.
Son House, Robert Johnson.
Howard Johnson.
Dive into those haunting vocals of Tommy Johnson.
Oh, Johnson, yeah.
That mesmerizing slide guitar of Mississippi Fred McDowell.
Mississippi Fred McDowell, yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much great music out there.
There is a whole world waiting to be discovered.
And it's not just about listening, right?
No, not at all.
There's incredible documentaries
Oh, yeah, some great documentaries out there.
exploring the history, the
The
context
cultural context.
of the Delta blues.
Yeah, and books
Yeah.
that delve into the lives and the music of these incredible artists.
It's a journey worth taking.
I can't recommend it enough.
You'll discover amazing music, but you'll also get a deeper understanding
A deeper understanding
of American history, of our culture.
and of the enduring power of the human spirit.
Well, folks, that wraps up our deep dive into the Delta blues.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you enjoyed this exploration
I hope so.
of this truly remarkable genre.
Until next time.
Keep those ears open.
And those minds curious.
There's a whole world of fascinating sounds and stories out there just waiting to be discovered.